Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for hanging out with me again today. And yep, change of scenery. Today, we're actually out in the garage, and we're going to be taking a look at this Gaahleri solitaire airbrush. So you guys saw kind of a sneak peek that this was coming up last week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing this contraption over, fire up the GoPro, and I'm going to take a look at it. And then I have a body prepped for paint. So we've got a buggy body and wing. Now, the buggy body and wing I've had for quite a while because it's to replace the iffy paint job that got put on this. If you haven't seen this video, I'll link it either up here or down in the description. It's a great buggy, but I hate the paint job. So Mads RC sent this body to me, what was it, Mads, a year and a half ago, to give me a body to repaint. And he went above and beyond to try to get me this body. So I'm finally putting a paint job on it. So we went with kind of a drippy effect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and the video is not about the paint, but I was going to tell you about it real quick anyway. So the back half of it's going to be purple. Then we're going to have yellow on the front with green highlights around the top of the drips. And then a little bit of black to shadow the drips a little bit. So this is going to be a first for me. This is the first time I've tried painting like a drop shadow on something. I don't know how well the black is going to stand up against the purple. It should stand up fairly well. It's also my first time doing drips and fading drips, so a lot of firsts. I got the roll bars taped off. We'll do those in like a silver. The wing's going to be basically the purple with two-tone drips. Again, I'm going to try to do some drop shadow on that. Don't know how well it's going to go, but we're going to give it a try. Again, like I said, the video is not about the paint job necessarily, but how well the airbrush works. So I'm going to pause that camera, fire this guy up, and we'll get an overhead look at the airbrush up close. I do know it comes installed, I think, with the 0.5 nozzle. I'm going to go ahead and bump it up to the 0.7, just so I can get better, coverage and everything out of it. But I think the 0.5 would be fine. That is what I use in my little old crappy dual action here. And, we're just going to give it a go. All right, guys. So this is the Gaahleri Barbatos Rex Signature Series paint gun. Now, it's a swallowtail design, which means it is in the pew-pew style of gun versus, say, something like this. So basically, same overall design, just has the swallowtail grip. So instead of running it like this, you're actually using it like this, which I prefer. I've had years of use of industrial spray guns, spraying cabinetry and all sorts of stuff. So trigger style for me is very, very comfortable. This style took a long time for me to get comfortable with it, and I'm still not great at it. But this has a really nice feel. So your air comes on, and then it hits kind of the needle, and then the needle starts pulling back. So basically air, and then as you increase, you get more and more paint as you pull back. So if you want a fine amount of paint, just a little bit of trigger pull, and then to hog it onto the body, blast it. This is just a nozzle cover to keep everything protected in shipping. You have your tip cover here, which will transfer over to the other sizes, and you can see your little needle sticking out at the end, and that's just to protect the needle and you from stabbing yourself or bending your needle. Then this cover here is kind of the Venturi system for the air coming through. It pinches the air down properly, and you have different ones for the different size needles. It comes installed with the 0.3 needle, then you have a 0.5 and a 0.7 setup, and then you have a 0.5 nozzle and Venturi cover, a 0.7 nozzle and the cover there. You get two sizes of paint cups. The foam is really good. You get a 1/3 ounce and a 2/3 ounce cup. Both of them have a really nice lid. It's on there very well, nice and shiny and smooth inside, not rough at all. It has your vent hole in the top to allow the paint to flow down, but you're not going to slop the paint out as you move it around. Like I said, 0.5, 0.7. I'm going to go ahead and get this swapped over to the 0.7. I don't need 0.3 for kind of what I'm doing. And I really love that on the top of the box, it has the full layout of the entire gun, how everything goes together, and you don't need to grab an instruction manual. Basically everything is right there. Oh, you also get extra seals. Shouldn't have to, rebuild anything like this. This is going to be spares for when you do have to rebuild and, one of those teeny tiny things rolls away. And they do give you lube for all the moving parts, all your spring assemblies and all that stuff, just to keep the gun moving super nice and smooth. So your cups just screw down right to the top of the gun. And now you're ready to spray. Like I said, almost identical in the angle back. So it follows kind of the traditional angles and assembly of everything. So I don't, if you've already used an airbrush like this or an airbrush like this, it should just be pick it up and run with it. There should not be a big learning curve with it. Other than if you're new to airbrushing, obviously there's going to be a learning curve with either. Mine's just going to be learning the trigger control of this. So I'm going to get this thing torn down real quick. I'm not going to talk through it. I may put it on like time lapse or something to speed through it. But I'm going to get this torn down, get the 0.7 in here, and then we're going to start actually using it. Alright, so let me get rid of the water. Yeah, it empties the cup out nice. Alright, where's the black? Fast black. So just using the Parma PSC fast colors. Got the black. It should be already thinned out from the last time we used it. Or last time I used it. You didn't. A little bit on the thicker side. But with this huge nozzle, should not matter at all. I instinctively went to the top of the gun. Yeah, it definitely lets you blast it on there. So fine line should be decent, but then you can really blast it on there. So let me get the cap back on so I don't get paint all over the place. And I guess ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let me turn the air down just a touch. Yeah, that should be better. That's better. So I had for this one, because this only has the 0.5 needle in it, I had the pressure pushed up a lot to try to get the paint to come through that one. With this 0.7, I just dropped it down like 8 PSI, and should be working, should work very well, as long as I can. A very steady hand. Yeah, not terrible, not beautiful. That one got really, really dark. Well, we're just gonna darken the rest of them up. Alright, that shouldn't be too bad. I mean, when the purple goes on, a lot of that's going to blend away. So some of it is me not knowing exactly what I'm doing, and some of it is just learning the gun and the pressure required. So what I'm doing is I'm starting on the tape and getting my kind of thickness of my line that I want, and then I'm just trying to draw around the edge of the tape line and put the shadow in. Again, not 100% sure what I'm actually doing here. Yes. Greg makes this look so easy. Yeah, a little dark in some spots, but like I said, should blend in a little bit better once we get the purple on. That's messy. Well, that is not perfect, but it's what we got. We're on a learning curve together. So I think my problem initially was I was trying to put it on way too thin and way too narrow. So I got it on a whole lot thicker and got the tip a whole lot closer. Because when I first started, I was way out here trying to create a fine line, and I actually need to be a whole lot closer. You know, it's just figuring things out and, you know, learning as you go. There's no exact science to this stuff. It's just sit back and take a look at it, touch it up, keep messing with it until it either gets right or it goes so horribly wrong you just have to change gears and change the whole design of it. But yeah, overall, I think I was able to touch up most of them, get them all looking halfway decent. A few little kind of hit, but that was just me, not the gun. That was self-control, not any issues with controlling the gun. I did notice that while you're trying to get that super fine, crisp line and hold that perfect thing, I did feel a little bit of cramping in my hand. Now, it's going to do the same thing with this, but I think I'm more accustomed to kind of pushing the trigger down and rocking it back to a certain position and kind of locking my hand to where that doesn't bother me. So I just think it's just a difference in the grip, trying to hold that really fine line. So it's just learning the tool and getting that muscle memory of how to use it. So I need to clean this out and let that dry, and then we're going to start blasting the purple on. Like I said, I'm just going to do that off camera. There's no point in you guys watching me paint on 6 coats of purple paint. So get that dry, get the gun cleaned out, and then I'm going to keep painting. And then once I get the mask peeled off, we'll come back in and do the same thing with the green and then backing it with the yellow. So I'll be back in just a moment. All right, as promised, came back with the purple on, and hopefully the overhead will catch how nice it looks. Now this is still with the protective film on. Obviously it'll be a lot brighter, but The fades, the drop shadow is a little heavy, but it did hide a lot of the sins of kind of like the little wiggles and waggles of the paint. Now, I did back it in just a plain gray. Shout out to Guru Greg for his mixture of white and black. Works great just as a backer. It's not too dark, it's not too light. Works great as a quick backer. Now, the reason I did that is I didn't want any weirdness to happen when I start spraying this green on. You know, just on the off chance it starts blending with the black or blending with the purple, you know, when I'm spraying this green on the back of it, I just wanted to make sure that we had one extra barrier of color before putting the green on. I left the tape on just so you guys could see the drips. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight around the edges of the drips in the green the best I can. And then we're going to come back with the very bright fluorescent yellow. And then I'll probably have to back that in a white just to keep them vibrant. And then we'll probably back it all with a generic mixture of gray. And I'll probably just paint the roll bars gray instead of silver. So that'll be my last step once we have all this painted. And then we'll come back, I'll blast a couple coats of gray on the roll bar and then just undercoat the whole front end with the gray just so it's uniform and, you know, backed up with one extra protective layer. So I'm not going to bore you guys with peeling the tape and all that stuff. I do want to talk about the gun real quick, which is the whole point of this video. Overall, I like it. It's comfortable and it's working well. One thing I did notice is the thicker the paint is, the more it builds up inside of your protector tip here. So I was painting the purple on, which was a little bit on the thick side, but it was spraying well. But I put the first coat on. I still had plenty of paint in the cup. And, you know, I hit it with the blow dryer, dried it up so I could put a second coat on. And when I put the second coat on, it sounded like it was spitting and sputtering that the first coat wasn't. So I was trying to figure out what was going on, and I noticed there was a big puddle of paint that had built up on here. Now, I don't know whether that was from the initial spraying or in what, but I think it was probably just some buildup in the beginning, and then when I started spraying again, it hit that kind of tacky paint in there and really started globbing up. So I just took some airbrush cleaner on a paper towel, went in there, wiped it out a couple times, and, you know, it ran fine after that. Just something to be careful for. Now, again, it's probably the thicker paint was doing it, and it would have probably done it the same thing to my generic brush too. Again, still learning here. This holds plenty of paint. You know, I filled it up to about there and was able to put 2 or 3 coats of purple on. So not filling the cups up, I've still got plenty of paint for, you know, airbrush and bodies. I am starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with the trigger style. And again, it's so super comfy in the hand. Like, you don't notice it. I almost wish the only issue I'm having is every time I pick it up, I look for the nozzle, or I look for the trigger up top. But, you know, overall, it's working very well. I just got water in there right now. But yeah, it's working really well. No complaints about the gun. You know, just learning the new style. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel off the tape, and then I'm going to leave the overhead running. I'll kind of show some of the up close of painting the green on, and then, you know, I'm just going to blast finish the green up, blast the yellow on, get all that done, and we'll bring it back and we'll finish up showing you the body, talking about the gun. Well, all right, guys, so we've got done painting the body. Now, it's flipped over for a reason because I want you guys to see it all at one time. And this is with the paint mask still on. So hopefully all goes well. Paint mask comes right off and I don't fight it for 15 minutes because I waited to do this on camera. Oh, come on. Of course, it wants to come off the chunks. Come on. There we go. Let me peel the window mask out of it real quick. Alright guys, there you go. That should look really good on the buggy. I'm not going to put it on yet. Paint is still tender. You know, it's got to cure for 24 hours or so before I would want to stick it on the body. But again, the body is only the demonstration part of the video. And obviously, the airbrush works. I say the learning curve of this one may be a little bit more than the learning curve of this one. It could be just my personal preference. I kind of like the trigger, the pullback trigger. I feel like I got a little bit more control over it than I have with this one. For the fine details, you know, it was really hard to figure out exactly where I needed to be with this one, with the trigger pull and all. And it, like I said, it's probably just me getting used to this style gun versus this style. I've had this style for years. I'm not great at it by any means. I'm still a beginner, I would say. But this style for me, just it's more natural feeling because that's what I'm used to. I think with a little bit more practice with this one will become as second nature as this one has. It, like I said, it feels fantastic. Like I said, other than the kind of, you know, having to hold that trigger finger just right to maintain that fine line, tracing out both the drop shadow and the coloration of the drips. You know, there was a little bit of, you know, hand fatigue, just because it's an unnatural thing to, you know, hold a little bit of pressure for an extended amount of time. Like I said, you'll still get that with this, but I don't think it's as much. Now, as far as cleaning the gun and maintenance on the gun, I think this is going to be fantastic. This one is a pain in the butt to clean out. The interior is rough. Well, it's not rough, but it is a lot rougher than this one. Generally, when I'm cleaning the gun, all I'm using is a bottle of water. I poke a teeny little hole into it, and I'll drain out any paint that's in the cup. Squirt some water in there, mess around with it, dump it into my little bucket here, and then finish spraying out whatever's in the gun. And 2 or 3 cycles of that, you've pretty much gotten rid of all the paint. And then you can like put your finger over it, feed a little back pressure, and, you know, 4 or 5 quick cycles and it's ready for the next color. Now, obviously, if you're going from black to white, you may want to throw a little bit more in there, but going from like the black to the purple, I didn't have to worry about it too much. Going from the green to the yellow, didn't have to worry about it too much. So everything worked well. I can't say anything bad about the gun. I do think I'm going to go back to the 0.5 needle. I think the 0.7 is, even though we're covering a lot of area with the body, for me to get the fine details, I think the 0.5 would have probably been a better sweet spot than me just jumping to the 0.7. I just wanted to try it. I think the 0.5 overall, it's what I'm accustomed to, and I think I'll have a little bit more control over the highlights, lowlights type thing with it. But like I said, overall, it's a great gun. There are some different ones out there. You know, there's the Barbatos Rex one, and there's a couple other Signature Series line of this one, and then there's also a couple, you know, unsignature line versions of this same gun. You know, you lose a little bit more features. There's different needles with different ones. I think the nozzles on the Signature Series guns have those flutings. I don't know if the lower series do. Plus the dual cups with this gun. You know, I think this one is great. You know, this one nails all of it. You got 0.3, 0.5, 0.7, and you've got a small cup, a big cup. I think this one would cover a large variety of, you know, doing tiny little model cars up to big, you know, 5th scale RC bodies, I think this one would carry you across a lot of them. To where a lot of these smaller ones, you know, you're kind of limited to. Generally, it's like a 0.2, a 0.3, and then usually a 0.4, 0.5 needle in them, and that's generally about as big as they come. Now, obviously, there's more higher end guns or airbrushes out there that will do that. I think a one size fits all. This one is going to be a great gun. You know, fine detail work all the way up to, you know, bulk painting type thing. This one's going to be really good. The only issues I had during the whole process were either a mistake I made or generally paint was too thick. I just got the fast color paints in not too long ago. I'm still trying to get some of them thinned out to the right consistency. I thought the green was thin enough, but both the green and the yellow were a little bit too thick, and we're just wanting to sputter a little bit more than they should have. So I got some reducer in there, and the second coats went on a lot better. But again, it's trial and error. It's a whole lot of mess around and find out. And I think overall, we can all say that that looks actually pretty good. For both not knowing what I'm doing per se. You know, I know what I'm doing, but I'm not a pro painter at all. I'm novice at best with the airbrush. Rattle cans, I'm a little bit better, but it's going to be next to impossible to get this level of detail with rattle cans, with the fading and everything like that. So I will get some up close pictures of the body on the buggy once it's all cured and I have the body mounted. I'll get that. Down in the description below, there'll be a link for the Gaahleri site. I believe it's their Amazon store. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll have the link down below. You can check out this gun as well as some of the other ones that they have out there. So if you are interested in, you know, this style only, they do have, Gaahleri does have the regular trigger pullback trigger style and the swallowtails as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed creating a cool new body. And thanks so much, Gaahleri, for sending this out for review. I'll definitely be using it more and more in upcoming painting, and I'll probably be kind of tag teaming it with both. I'll probably put like the primer color, like the backer color in this gun, and work more with this one for the actual painting, and this will just be blasting on backer color type things. Anyway, guys, I hope everybody enjoyed it. Everybody out there, as always, be happy, be healthy, be safe, and take care.